this one thing will keep you from writing your book. If you're someone who has been wanting to write a book for a very long time, and especially if you know that this book is one that you're called to write, that you're meant to write, something that is beyond just telling a story, it's meant for impact and for really reaching people around the world, whether it be fiction or nonfiction. And yet you've been putting it off for a long time. This might be the thing that's really underneath all of those surface level blocks and as to why you keep putting it off. I'm Caitlin Silva, and I work with Christian women. I help them to finally write and publish that bestseller and use that book for impact, authority, and ultimately accomplishing their God-given purpose. So in today's video, I want to talk about what that thing is and really help you to conquer it and overcome it so that you can actually start taking steps and accomplish your book. So what is that really big thing? It's fear. Underneath all of the blocks and the doubts and the struggles and the lack of clarity and the what ifs and whatever else is on the surface, if you dig really underneath all of that, you'll often find that fear is the thing that's holding you back. And it can show up in a lot of different ways. Sometimes it shows up as fear of success. What am I going to do if it starts taking off and it starts getting results and I can't handle it? And then, of course, there is the fear of rejection or fear of failure. That feeling of, well, what if I put all of this time and effort and energy into it and it gets very disappointing results? It doesn't actually get what I expected or what I hoped for. And of course, there's other forms of fear that are not quite so obvious. Sometimes it's just that fear of commitment, fear of actually sitting down and doing the work, fear of putting that real, authentic self onto the page, like that inner part of you that is just swirling around in your mind that you've been wrestling with, whether you, again, put it into fiction or nonfiction. Sometimes people take their story, they put it into fiction, right? And that those characters express a real journey and a real transformation or a real healing in events that have occurred. And you find it's actually really powerful and really a mirror of real life, in all forms of fiction. And so it can be really terrifying just thinking about, actually taking that internal struggle or that journey that you've been through and putting it on the page, right? There's also that fear of doing it wrong, right? Especially if you're an avid reader and you read lots of books, and then you're looking at your own writing and you're looking at your, what you're trying to put together. And there's that fear of, what if I'm not doing it right? What if it's not good enough? What if, I am just putting it out there and it's wrong, right? It's not the way that you want it to be or that it could be, or it's not, connecting with the reader or whatever that is, right? Underneath all of that, there's a fear. And the thing is that especially for those Christian women that are watching or Christian people that are watching, I want to be super clear that when you are struggling with a fear, right, it's often linked to a lie that you have bought into and that you believe, right? So getting even deeper underneath that fear. What is the lie that you have bought into and that you're believing that now is creating that fear in your life, especially about pursuing this book? I want you to do a journaling exercise and really dig into what that is and really be honest with yourself on the page. This isn't, anything that anyone else is going to read. It doesn't have to be right or wrong. There's no, potential outcomes, right? This is just a conversation on the page with yourself and being really honest about what's going on underneath the surface. If you have that book that you've been holding on to for a long time and you need to write it, okay? So once you have gone through and you've identified that fear for you and that lie that you've bought into, I want to challenge you and also invite you to take a different approach, right? Many of the times when we're afraid of something or we're sitting in that fear, we're believing that lie, it's so important to kind of take the light and shine it on that situation and kind of flip it on its head and really sit with that and just be like, okay, so maybe if it's that fear of doing it wrong or fear of failure, fear of rejection, look at it, be like, what is the worst possible outcome, right? And is it really that bad? I mean, really, if it happened, how would you respond? How would you handle it? How would you pivot? What life lessons could you take out of it that you could then go on to apply and, restart, do it differently, right? The beautiful thing about a book, especially, is that it's not something that has to be absolutely set in stone. Once you have it, it becomes this beautiful tool that you can use over and over again in different ways. And so just because you go through the process and maybe it doesn't have the results that you wanted, okay, you can shift, you can make changes, you can do rewrites, you can relaunch, you can do more marketing. There's so many different things you can do to go at it again and get different results, right? Or if it's that, underlying struggle with believing that your writing isn't good enough and you're comparing it to other people. The fact of the matter is that you're comparing where you're at right now with that beautiful finished product, and you didn't see behind the scenes. You didn't see under the surface. You didn't see all of the rounds of edits or all of the changes that were made or all the tears that the author went through, all of the personal struggles. And so it's important to recognize that you're not alone, that it's part of the writing process, part of the writing journey to have transformation and to go through this, understanding of, internal healing as well as the book itself has a lot of transformation through that editing process and polishing and refining and all of those things, right? So it's recognizing that it's not comparing where you're at right now with that desired finished product, because it's completely different, right? It's like comparing apples to oranges. It is not the same thing, right? So take some light of objective reality, of truth, and shine it on those fears and those lies, and just be really honest with yourself. Confront those and say, you know what? I am letting myself stay stuck. I'm letting myself put this off when it's something I know I need to do, because I'm believing this lie and this fear that is not what I need to be focusing on. And it's frankly, it's from the enemy. I mean, as it says in scripture, it says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And so if you are battling that, take it to the Lord and pray over it and lay it at his feet and surrender that fear to him. Ask him for that peace in exchange, because he is a God who cannot lie, and he is faithful to give us those spiritual blessings, right, of peace and joy and love and faithfulness and all of those things when we take our burdens and lay them at his feet. So also don't forget to go through the journaling exercise and really dig into what that fear is for you and what that lie is. So of course, I've already given you some homework as I'm rounding out this video. So make sure that you do the suggestions, especially if this has been something you've been wanting to do for a long time and you have been putting it off. And then let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you came up with, what that lie is for you, what that struggle is for you, and share with me, like, why are you putting this off? Because none of us are promised tomorrow, right? You have to, really objectively look at things, right? If you don't make it a goal, you want to accomplish it, because someday doesn't exist. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments once you do the exercise, what comes up for you, what you discover, how you can make those shifts for yourself. And I'd love to root for you as you continue moving forward and start taking those steps with your book. Because remember that your book can change a life.